Do you know what, Nixie? I've been waiting ages for a train here that never shows up.
Well, it'll be arriving never, because we're at a station that doesn't really exist. It's a super secret station.
This is the true secret station of London because
We're at West Ashfield.
Do you know what, Nixie? Today is a funny episode because the girls are both unwell. It's a boys' day out, and we have come to a part of London's underground training school, if you like, that so few people know about. It is literally, it appears on weird fake maps. It's got all of its signs. Look at these amazing maps and
Well,
signs.
it's got its own identity, hasn't it? You and I both know it from having been track trained, which is one of the things that it's used for, that station familiarisation and track environment familiarisation. But we know that quite a few of you out there have heard of this place and wanted to come and visit, and well, this is the only way that most people can, is by watching us here.
And it's funny, when I was being track trained by this amazing guy, I immediately thought, we've got to get him on the Hangouts. And I'm delighted to say this seat, come on in,
Reserved.
is being reserved for Richard Farrett. And Richard, how long have you been training people for the Tube?
I've been doing this job now for about 19 years,
Amazing.
so quite a while.
And what do you think of West Ashfield? Because it's fake, but so fabulous, isn't it?
I love it. It's a great location. It's perfect for bringing people in. We can just show them stuff. It's a nice, safe environment. We treat it like the real track, but it's a nice, safe environment. There's no electricity in the tracks and stuff, so it's perfect. It's absolutely great, and we've got a little bit of everything here as well.
I love it. I love it. Now today, Nixie, we've got the opportunity to potentially drive an S-stock tube train, fake, obviously, and Richard's going to show us the entirety of this amazing place as well. So I think we're in for quite a good day. I think the girls might get a bit of FOMO, if I'm honest.
I think they might, although of course they've both been here for training themselves. I think the lovely thing about this is that this environment allows us to show you some things that ordinarily would be extremely problematic to do in the real world, both in cabs and in the track environment. So we can hopefully satisfy some bits of curiosity today about things you'll see around the railway in a completely safe way. But one thing that we do have to do is make sure that we still follow the rules.
I brought it. And do them up.
And do them up.
Absolutely. As you taught us, Richard. You taught us well. Now, you boys both love your allotments, so you can talk about broad beans, but in limited amount of time. But also, I love a train set, and the other thing that I learned when I was here is there is an amazing train set to teach you how to use the signals. So we'll go there as well, shall we?
Yeah, well, there's a long tradition of that as well, isn't there, in the history of London transport, of signalling school and training people in safe ways so that you can make all the mistakes in a safe place and not when people's lives are at stake.
Yeah, and that's why simulators are perfect, and that's effectively what this is one big simulator.
I love it.
Should we just add one last question? The name, West Ashfield.
So we're actually inside Ashfield House, and we're right next to West Kensington Station, so it's a mash-up of the two names. So
It's
West
brilliant.
Ashfield.
And I love the fact that we've got an old Jubilee Line 1983 stock train. It's not real. I think it's made of wood, isn't it?
Yes,
It's made of wood.
Yeah.
Fire retardant, obviously, and it's just sitting in a tunnel mouth over there. But then the other thing that's really impressive about this, it's not just a platform, because if you go round the corner, it's a station. It's got proper gate line, it's got tiled walls. It just looks like a proper tube station. It's genius.
I really like the slight identity crisis thing going on. So we've got the Jubilee Line train there. This is clearly on the District Line, which in reality it is. It's next to the District Line, and we've got a bit of Metropolitan Line dot matrix board up there. So it's great fun just spotting the little.
And the other thing about this is as well, Chris, if you look at the clocks in this place as well, we're in a bit of a time warp because it's 8 o'clock at the tunnel, but it's nearly 1 o'clock on the platform. So we're doing great here.
I had a little poke around earlier at some of the equipment around here, and of course you brought bits of real equipment wherever possible, haven't you? So there are 1 or 2 other places represented in the equipment around here that we'll find as we go.
If you notice, there's a PA system, Chris.
Is there?
Would you like to tell people to stand clear of the doors?
Okay.
This is too much. I mean, seriously, this is a job, guys.
Normally Alex would be all over the PA, but let's give it a go. Passengers are reminded to please stand clear of the closing doors.
Genius. Right. Where should we go first, Richard? What's our first port of call?
I think we should go and have a look at some of the trackside equipment that we've got in here.
Genius. Let's do
Perfect.
that. So the very, very first thing, I love the fact that we are treading over rails and they're not even powered. It's all
safe.
for show.
I'm going to
for
stay
show.
just here.
So first of all, this is a very, very important piece of kit, Richard. And one of the things that we will hear when we're on platform is, psh. What is it?
So it's a train stop. It works in conjunction with the signal. When the signal is at red, it's in this raised position that we see it now.
It's a bit here, yeah.
Yeah, that's it. And then as the signal goes to green, it lowers down into a safe position, allowing the train to go over the top without interacting with the train.
Now that's interesting. That implies that there's something dangling down off the train that might hit that.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes, that's right. So this is a train stop and it interacts with the Tripcock.
Do you remember in Series 1, we talked about the Tripcock?
The Tripcock.
There was no giggling. It was
one
all
of our
good.
trigger words.
Yes.
But I don't think we've actually shown what one of those Tripcocks looks like. Richard, I noticed you had a little gadget for
Yes, I do,
for showing.
yes.
Would you mind grabbing for the camera?
I can do, yeah. Do you want me to go and get it
Yeah,
for you?
yeah, that'd be handy.
There we
There you
go.
go.
You do make him work. This is like heavy plant
It's not
machinery.
like it's a terribly hot day.
Yeah, exactly. 40-degree heat down here. Now this is right. So this is the Tripcock.
Yeah. So
Right.
that's hanging down off the bottom of the train
That's correct, yeah.
and waiting to strike the train stop that we saw there if it were to ever go past or try and go past a red signal. And can you show us the...
Yes. so it's on the front right-hand shoe beam is where it lives. So it's at the very front of the train. And what would happen is if that interacted with it, this would just push it back. This would open up the valve effectively in here and release all of the air out of the brakes. So similar sort of brake system to lorries. Air keeps the brakes off. So it's a fail-safe system. If you get an air failure, big springs push it back on so you get an emergency braking. So, and that's effectively what happens there.
So basically, if you went past that train stop, full emergency brake, people would struggle to stay on their feet, but
Definitely.
the important thing is the train wouldn't go past a signal at danger.
Now I'm figuring that this is this looks old, right? So the oldest trains on the network at the moment are on the Bakerloo and the Piccadilly line from 1972, 1973. 50
Yes.
years old, the
Yes.
Bakerloo line trains.
Yes, and that would be 1960s technology if you think about that.
So if that goes off, the train has come to a halt. How does the driver reset it?
So it depends on the stock.
Rope.
It's either a little bit of rope that's inside the cab, and on some of the older stocks, it was actually outside the cab. But all they do is give that little tug,
Wow.
and that resets it.
And then the train could, but obviously when this is configured right, the train can then move on.
Yes, it has to obviously regenerate with air and stuff, but yeah.
And there would have been a
good to go.
lot of conversations with the line controller in between that time about
Yes.
whatever caused that, and then the driver might be going to have to explain their actions.
Yeah, yeah, without doubt they're going to go and have, so the first actions would be a welfare check, just to make sure the train operator's all right, because they might be shaken up by the event, or they, there could be something else, they could be ill, for example, why they might have done that. So we will do a welfare check with them, and then they're going to have an interview without coffee with the duty reliability manager.
Now you talk about sort of reinvigorating the brakes after this situation. You've got to re-inflate the brakes, if you like. Is that what that gauge in the carriages is all about on those older trains?
Yes.
Wow. So, because sometimes you're sat there on the Bakerloo line or even the Piccadilly line and you see this gauge under your seat fly up. It's recharging the brakes.
Yes, it's the air gauge. It's telling you how much air is in the air tanks. I don't know if anybody remembers the old Metropolitan line. They were forever, you get in the wrong carriage and you'd hear this constant knocking, and that was those air compressors
on the
That's
A
it,
stop.
Yeah. And they were the ones that go rrrr like that, and then they go whoa. Like they were compressors that just pumped up the air brakes.
Effectively, yeah.
How cool is that? You see, the things you learn, we're even in West Ashfield learning about what train sounds are. This is great.
Now, This is such an important bit of safety equipment on the trains that there is a system for checking it as well, which
correct,
we've got just over here. Right.
Now I've seen these. I've seen these, boys. But you say this is the tester. It's not even the thing that stops the train.
No, it's a Tripcock tester. You will see them at certain stations. Every train on a scheduled trip has to go through a tester to make sure that the Tripcock is working correctly. Very simple piece of kit. As the train approaches into the station, there's a white light that will come on to tell the train operator that it's activated, and then the Tripcock, sorry.
Oh, Alex has got the switch, he's powered it down.
So you can see it just goes down and back up again.
Yeah.
The arm there would just go through the gauge here and push down. And you might recognise that sound.
That noise.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a noise.
And so this bit here, this gauge, is just to make sure that the Tripcock is in the right place. So
That's
if it was
correct,
out of alignment and would therefore miss the actual train stop, it would deploy on this or that.
Yes, that's correct, yeah. Yeah, and we call it the rule of thumb. Something has to go out. It's either the train goes out or the white light goes out.
Okay.
So if the white light doesn't go out, then the train goes out of service.
And the white light is on the far side of the tunnel.
Yes.
So where this thing's all going on.
That's
out
it,
of,
yeah.
Out of worry.
Yeah, normally up by the signal so the train operator can see it.
I love the fact with this, this training centre, that you actually get to understand the noises of the tube. We talk about the look all the time, but that noise, that is so typical of listening to the sounds while the train comes in. It's so cool, that psst, and then that. I love it. Absolutely love it. Learning so much
It's the
today.
stuff that you take in without realising you're taking in when you're in that environment.
Yeah, it's great.
Yes.
So,
Yes, definitely.
we ought to have a chat about the track as well, haven't we? A very brief chat about the track and what it all means.
Yeah.
Let's do that. This is a very weird feeling. And I've been trained to do this, but it does feel very strange standing around on train tracks. But this is a very, very safe training environment. And Richard, the first thing that springs to mind is what each of the rails do, because there's 4. People see them. There's always one in stations that's a long, long way from everybody else. So presumably the wheels run on 2 and power comes from the other 2.
That's correct, yeah. Yeah, so the furthest one away is the positive rail. So it runs on DC current, not AC like we get in our house. It's DC. So the positive is furthest away at the stations, but it does move from side to side. If you look elsewhere on the track, you will see that it can be on either side. That's furthest away, and then in the middle is the negative, and because it's so negative, it always stays in the middle. That's the way I always teach it. It's a good way of remembering it. It's negative, so it always stays in the middle.
And that power rail explains also why you get a lot of sparks when trains are going along, because the power is being picked up from those, and where it does, you sometimes get that sparking and arcing, don't you?
That's it. So there's a shoe on the bottom of the train, and what it's doing is, you can see on this little ramp there, at the end of the traction current rail, is where that allows the shoe to go down and then pick up again. And that's often where the point where you get that arcing and sparking, particularly when it's wet. Get some really good popping noises then.
Yeah.
And the amount of current that's available down there is just a terrifying amount of power on them. So even when they're not real, I sort of have a slight sense of unease about being next to them, just because you know what the real things will do to you. But you think about it, they've got to have enough energy to power the train. It's a bit more than your kettle at home. The thing which surprises a lot of people, though, is that even the non-power rails, the running rails, have got power running in them because of the signal circuit that is sensing whether the train is there by the wheels shorting them out. And that can be as much as 110 volts when it's first going in, and it can drop down the further you are away from where that power is supplied in. But there's still a healthy amount of power in those rails as well, which is why you see you've got the insulators there on that bit of track, because that's separating the signalling sections in the track.
One of the things that you teach us, and you are just the best teacher, we love you, is how much safety training goes into dealing with this much power. We're not going to show anyone today how we are trained to turn power off. We know how to do it, but we're not going to show anyone today. No. But there really is so much education given to staff to make sure that they can safely navigate the tracks even when the power's on?
Yes, so they get that as part of their basic training. They go through a whole lot of series of different methods that they can use to turn the traction current off. But also every year we bring them back for reassurance to make sure they're still competent, still remember how to do all of these things. Because let's face it, you don't have to do it every day. It's not something they do often. So we want to make sure that they can still do that, and that's one of the things that we bring them back for competence assurance.
And it's really interesting as well when with Aldwych, the station tours that take place there. Any of our guides, who take the tours around that station are also track trained, as I am, to evacuate our members of the public through to Holborn if necessary. And that's a track walk.
That's right, and it's essentially the same thing that train drivers have to be trained to do in the event that a train breaks down so catastrophically in a tunnel that the only way to get people out is to detrain them, as they call it, take them out of the train into an environment where the power has been switched off and isolated, and then walk people in groups to the nearest available station. It's the thing that nobody really wants to have to ever do, because it's a hazardous thing to do, even if it's just trips and falls. But the procedure to make it as safe as possible is quite complicated. And as we know, it takes quite a while to train people to do that in a way that's safe.
Exciting too, if you end up on an Aldwych tour and you have to be evacuated down a tunnel. So exciting. But there's so much more to see here at West Ashfield, so let's get off the thing, because there are actually real trainees actually trying to get in here today.
There are. Yes, they're waiting to come in. Just one last thing to show you quickly, because you don't always realise this, is because we're actually up on the 3rd floor here. These aren't real railway sleepers. They're actually made of wood. They're wood with a little metal cap on top. So
that is bad.
Years ago, before this was created, I'd had to create a very similar environment for training school children on how to use the tube properly. So we had a similar arrangement in the back of a couple of vans. We had mock-up station platforms, and exactly the same thing. We started off using wood, but eventually went over to full metal rails for setting up.
It's just
that
incredible.
house.
And forgive us, by the way, because if we look shiny, it must be 30 degrees in here. We've chosen to do this on the hottest day.
Genuine tunnel.
Absolutely roasting hot. It's so hot.
There is one little thing which I noticed over there, by the way,
What's
which
that?
is from another station, which I'd like to show you.
Let's have a
Just
look.
hop back up onto the platform. So this, a symbol with the T crossed out, we've talked about this before with some of our Patreons. Hello. And, well, tell us, what does it mean?
it means that the tunnel telephone wires are not working in the area. So this is an old system that they run wires along the tunnels, and the idea is if there's a problem they need to switch off traction current, they could actually touch the two wires together, rub them, and it would switch traction current off.
But nowadays, with train radios, they've been decommissioned.
Yeah,
I noticed you've actually got some up in the tunnel there, which
Yes,
is
we do.
nice
Yes,
to see.
we still have them.
One thing, because I got asked that quite a bit early
Yeah.
on when people saw those out on the system. They are?
Well, you just mentioned it. It's the radios. It means
Right.
that radios aren't working in that area. Now, because it would be unsafe to have a train that can't communicate while it's in the tunnel, we would detrain that train in the affected area. It would go through empty and then start picking customers up at the other end. So that's what the R board is.
Now, the little telephone thing which I noticed, which doesn't belong to this station, is just over here, the station-to-station telephone. We go through. Now, I was having a little nosy
cute.
around, and when I opened this up, I noticed just at the top,
Clapham South.
and
Lines.
Clapham North.
Yeah.
So, this was the station-to-station telephone from somewhere.
Very familiar.
On the,
to the
now,
museum.
if you think about which station's missing, Clapham North, Clapham South, Clapham Common is where our guess is that
Isn't that
used to
incredible?
live.
It's half of the fun for you, is that you love all of this. It's fabulous.
This has been fab. Should we go and get into a train?
Yes. Not this one, silly. Another one. Stand clear of the doors, please. Mind the doors.
Exciting,
This is
isn't it?
really cool.
It's a big train, 7 car.
It's a huge train, isn't it? And do you know, I'm half expecting the lights to come on. What happens here? What happens here? This is really, really cool.
It's good graphics.
Now, this is the great thing about a training centre, because John is an S-stock train driver who's today here for a bit of refresher training. I love this. John, first of all, we're in the pitch darkness. I'm assuming it's this button that we turn it on
that's
with,
correct.
yeah?
That's the cab light control.
Let there be light. I love this. So, tell me, John, how accurate is this as a simulator? I'm going to give you my microphone. I feel like Terry Wogan.
As a simulator itself, it is very accurate. It has all the things that you would normally see out on the railway. Very, very accurate. Even things like when you open the cab door, it will show you what you would expect to see down the platform. The only thing that sometimes throws you is it hasn't got the motion of a real train. Basically, you're not falling all over the place. When you brake in this as well, you can't get a feel for the actual inertia of the train slowing down. So it can mess with you a little bit.
But there is a little something under the seat.
Yeah, apparently, there is a bass speaker under the seat. So when the train goes over points, the simulator goes over points, it feels like the train is going over points itself.
Now that has an industry name, doesn't it, that device?
Yeah, it's called the butt kicker.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah,
I
we have one installed in the museum simulator.
I have to say, John, you're going to give me a run for my money as a presenter, so this is terrifying me now. Thank you so much. What else are you learning today? What other stuff are you doing?
Today is just a refresher on all our rules, procedures. We're running 2 signalling systems at the moment with Tripcock and CBTC, the automatic
CBTC,
operations.
what's that?
That's communication-based train control. The train drives itself.
Isn't this great? I'm just learning all the time. Thank you so much. Good luck with your training today.
No worries.
Love all of this. Now, the thing is, Nixie, I suppose this could be 2 episodes in one, couldn't it?
I feel it can. I think we know that it exists. We can see what it can do, but doing it might be another episode.
I think so too. While we're here, just give us a very, very, very quick tour of what does what. Very quickly. Whistle
if I
stop.
can just move over to where you are then.
This is hilarious, isn't it? Have you ever seen The Wire pulled so hard?
Okay, so basically, the first thing you need to know about is the red handle. This is the TBC or traction brake controller, as it's known. You rotate it to activate the dead man, push forwards to go forwards, pull backwards to stop.
Okay.
That is basically how that works. Door controls for this side of the train, door controls for that side of the train. Train control management system, this is the TCMS, it's the train computer. So when we log into the train, we put all our information in here.
So it's you as a driver, but does it also, is that the thing that talks to us as well, where it says we're being held at a red signal?
Yes, it is. So for example, I'm just going to log in.
Is this going to work? Are you going to actually this is going to be you?
It's going to be me, yeah.
Amersham Fast met from Aldgate.
Yeah, no, we're not doing that.
No.
No, we're not doing that. We're currently, the simulator's got us at Wimbledon. So we're going to put 901, which is Upminster from Wimbledon.
How do you remember all these numbers?
I've been doing it for so long. And on the return, I'm not going to bother with the return. It's not working, that's fine. So this shows you the information that you need to see, mainly the fact that doors are open or closed. So I'm here. It should let me open the doors, it's not going to though. Okay, that's fair enough. All door information, destination information, time, date. You said about the person telling you things. That is this system here.
Wow.
The automatic system.
So it's all up there on computer?
It's all up there on computer, yes. We have got our handset as well, which we can turn into a PA to make announcements. If we wanted to, we have a button where we can talk to the other cab. We have a PEA talkback, which is if someone pulls an alarm, we can talk to that actual alarm. And we can hear what's going on in the cab itself.
Crikey. So that's all here?
That's all there. We have windscreen, whistle.
Got to do it.
I love it. I love it.
This is our Connect radio. This is how we communicate with the signallers, controllers and depots. Very important, air conditioning.
Yeah, it's not happening here today, is
No,
it?
unfortunately, no. This one doesn't have aircon. It's not a full train, unfortunately.
That needle's almost heading into the red.
That is the air gauge.
Ah.
That's our air.
And you keep pushing
I
that
keep
red
doing
knob.
that.
What are you
Yeah,
doing?
sorry. There is a chiming that goes off every 60 seconds. It's basically it's called the OPO alarm, or the one-person operation alarm. If I don't rotate that handle after 2 minutes, an alarm gets activated at the control room. They think something's happened to me.
Or you
It's a
fall
vigilance.
asleep.
Falling asleep.
Vigilance control.
Something a bit more sinister maybe,
Yeah.
or something as simple as I've changed ends but left my keys in this one.
Cool.
It's happened before.
Yeah. Love it.
I'm going to show you something here, if you'll let me do it, yes it will. That's the cab door open.
This is so cool. And even the image on the screen changes. This is brilliant.
Yeah.
So if you close it,
It will go back to how it was.
That's really, really cool. That is so cool. Do you enjoy your job?
I do actually, yes, I really do enjoy
How long
the
have you
job.
been doing it?
I've been driving a train now for 2.5, 3 years now. Before that, I was signaller with at Barking.
What's better, signalling, driving?
Ooh, don't know if I should answer that one, Toby.
Diplomatic answer.
I really enjoyed the signalling, but I do really enjoy the driving aspect as well.
It's fantastic. People like you keep the system going, so thank you.
Oh, thank you for saying that.
Thank you
would
for giving
would
us-
you like me to move the train, or do you want to have a go at moving
Do
the
you know
train?
what we're going to do? Is we're going to do this in another episode, I think. So,
Yeah.
so thank you very much for just being with us, John.
No
and,
problem at all.
and good luck with your test today. I hope you pass. Otherwise, I won't be seeing you in the front of a cab. But yeah, well done.
Yeah, well, key thing to remember is, I'm not going to do it because we're live, is that goes forward and that backward, but obviously with the handle turned.
Yeah,
Alright?
we've learnt this stuff. This is
There you go.
great. Thank you so much.
No worries, thank
We've
you.
been instructed by the best.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Cheers.
Do you know, when I was a kid, I would have loved a room this big with a train set like this. I don't even know what gauge this
I
is.
love
It's
you
huge.
trying to pretend that you don't have one of these secretly at home
Do you know,
somewhere. Underground
if I had a house
bunker
big
in the
enough, I'd have it.
garden
I'd have it. This
train
is
set.
where tube staff come to learn to signal, isn't it?
Yes.
With all the different ways you can signal, computer controlled, ones with levers, it's all here.
Yeah.
How does it work?
It's an absolutely great system, and we teach everybody from signallers who come in and learn it to right through to the basic CSAs. And we show them this because it's a really good representation of how the signalling system in there works. And even the new conventional, the non-conventional, signalling, so that is the Jubilee and the Northern Line, although they've not got coloured light signals, it's actually very much the same principle that you're trying to keep the trains apart, a safe distance apart, and at safe speed.
And CSA's customer service assistants, these are the people who we meet and talk to and interact with in stations, right?
Yes, that's correct. Yeah. So they all come in here to have a go
So-
and have a look how it works.
You've got your own version of a real interlocking frame over here,
We do, yes.
which is extraordinary, and we're at Hammersmith Bridge.
Yes, another made up place.
Isn't
And
it
what is I find amazing is that we've still got some of these. So Harrow on the Hill is a really good example. It's a huge, great big frame at Harrow on the Hill, our most complex area, and we're still using this old technology.
It's cool though, isn't it?
It looks very similar to the one that we now look after at Edgware Road, which, if you go back, we'll see in season
One of our
3
episodes.
of Hangouts. Yeah.
So, okay, let's have a play with this. We want to take one of the trains from the sidings into road number 12, so platforms 2 and 3 on your game here. How do we do this, boss?
Okay, so we're going to bring it into the middle platform, which says there road 12
Yep.
in there. So we need to work from the left to the right, and any points. So we do the points first. So the first set of points is going to be
These
number
ones
9.
here, number
Yeah.
9. So we want to take that from being normal position to the reverse.
That's correct.
Right.
And you can see the little R's just popped up there.
Great
And
stuff.
you've just done that, you released with
Yeah.
that.
Pull that. It's a bit like
Yeah.
an old-fashioned vintage car handbrake. That's what
Yeah.
it feels like.
Yes. And we'll take the train out of number 9 siding, so that'll be number 11.
Yep.
Points.
There.
Yeah.
Yep.
So now we've set the route, we can give the signal. So that would be number 13,
Wow.
which is the shunt signal. So you see the little diagram just changed up there.
Oh,
And
and
it's moving.
Here it comes.
This is like a big
It's just
recruitment
fantastic,
video, isn't
isn't
it?
it?
It's like a big recruitment video for London Underground. It's great.
I would like to come and play trains, please.
It's so cool. And I think, Chris, you then need to dispatch that train towards the eastbound.
Excellent.
So,
I'm happy to take that
Maestro,
brief.
So first thing you need to do is put the signal back.
Yep. So number 13.
Yeah. There you go, back into the normal position, and the points as well
Okay.
in the reverse order from what you did them. And that's to make the frame down there work. It all has to be in the correct order.
Yep.
right. So,
Okay.
Now, going out is dead easy because it's a straight route out, which means all you need to do is pull the right signal number.
Okay.
In this case, it's number 7.
Number 7. Okay.
So exciting. Isn't
Here
it?
we go.
That's gone green.
Yep. And driver's off.
This fills me with a ridiculous amount of pleasure.
That is fantastic.
It's just joyous. Could you imagine being on a course and Richard saying, we're going to make trains go around this track today? It's just brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
Sign up for that.
But you know, this is, the wondrous thing about this is it's got every different type of signalling system within the one room. So you can go from the really vintage stuff to more computer controlled ones over there, and it just runs around in a horseshoe, backwards and forwards to stations. It's just brilliant.
Yeah, yeah, it's fantastic for showing people how it works, and as we've moved on. So the next lever frame, I guess, is what you would want to call it, but it's literally push buttons. So that makes the points and the signals work at the same time, rather than having to do it all individually. And then when we go right over there, that's an emergency panel that they use on the central line.
Okay, so our train is currently stuck there at a red signal.
Yes.
How do we send it on its way?
So for this area, this controls the points and the signals all in one go. The first move will just be for signals. So if you just push that first button
This one?
down. Yep.
That's gone green on the screen.
There you go. Here comes the train.
Oh, I'm enjoying this far too much. Far too much. And this is 70s technology, isn't it? You reckon?
I think this is would be about 1970s technology.
Interesting the difference, though, isn't it, between the really old stuff and this. It's literally,
Yeah.
that was all levers and, you know, knocking and actually really thinking mechanically about signalling. This was allowing a computer to do the work.
And if you
Yes.
think back to when we were at Ruislip Signal Cabin and you were on the
that.
proper old mechanical
It's
throw.
incredible.
Yeah.
So where are we going to send it next?
So we're going to send it from here. We're going to send it north. So we've got two options here. Out of the platform. So we can either go east, which sends it round, or we can send it go north. So if you push Echo Hotel 2, there you go.
Echo Hotel 2. Should I do that?
Do
Give
it.
that a push.
Oh,
Hear the points.
points. Oh, the lights.
Oh, look at that. You've got a route. What do you call it? A route
Indicator.
Route indicator. That's the one.
And off it's going up north.
This is just too good for words.
And what it
Really
will
good
do is
point.
a little bit of jiggery pokery, and we can bring it back in again.
That is brilliant. I love it. I love it. Of course, this is a signal sort of demonstration. Oh, hello. Come back.
Yeah.
We've got to go and make sure that we actually see the station and the rest of West Ashfield.
We do. It's totally brilliant the way they've done it. Even the floor tiles are just
It's just
something
cool.
to behold.
It's
So
just cool. Come on,
let's go and
share
do
this.
it. Well, I just love these tiles. The carpet tiles that
Yeah.
look pretty convincing, don't
Yeah,
they?
and the tiles actually, they're not Leslie Green. They date from around the 1980s, and they're plastic anyway. But isn't this cool? I mean, even here, because Richard obviously gives me all the best gigs. If I push this button here on the panel
seek assistance.
and click open, that opens. How cool is that? See, I now know
Fantastic.
how to leave a station, and this is all done to help customer service assistants learn their craft, the sort of things that they should be asking members of the public,
Yes.
how the gate line actually works. It's called the gate line, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
So how all these bits of kit and caboodle work. One question that I had for many, many years, I now know the answer, but many others might ask, LFB, London Fire Brigade?
Yes,
I love it.
if it's a fire.
I love it. So what do you think then, Chris? What do you think of West Ashfield Station?
I think it's great, and it's really nice to bring our audience along to share it as well, isn't it? Because it's the kind of thing you wouldn't expect to exist, but it makes total sense once you know it's here. How else do you get such a well-trained professional set of staff out on the system who know what they're doing? Answer is they've tried it all for real in here first.
Thank you so much, Chris Nix. Thank you so much, Richard, for your time today as well. And girls, get well soon. If you want to find us on Instagram, Alex Grunden, Chris Nix, City Holloway, Hidden London Law, and at LT Museum. You've found us on YouTube. Thank you very much. Like, subscribe, and comment down below. And we'll be back somewhere really, really cool very soon, preferably without the need for these wretched, hot, high vises. Have yourself a great day and stay safe.
Right, now we're off to the canteen.